Have you ever wondered what happens inside your brain when you feel stressed? From the moment you encounter a stressful situation, whether it's an exam, a traffic jam, or a looming deadline, your brain kicks into high gear. But what's really going on at a neural level? Today we're diving into one of the most fundamental processes in both psychology and neuroscience, the action potential, and how it fuels your body's response to stress. To start, let's break down the basics. An action potential is like an electrical pulse that shoots down a neuron's axon, allowing it to send messages to other neurons. Think of it as the brain's communication system. Every thought, movement, or emotion you experience is made possible by these tiny electrical signals. Here's how it works. When a neuron is at rest, it has a negative charge, usually around -70 millivolts. But when it gets stimulated, sodium channels open, causing sodium ions to rush into the cell, changing the charge. If that stimulus is strong enough, the neuron hits a threshold of -55 millivolts, triggering an action potential. In milliseconds, the spike travels down the neuron, causing it to release neurotransmitters at the synapse. Now let's see how this relates to stress. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. That feeling of anxiety, frustration, or even panic, it all starts with action potentials in your brain's amygdala, the area responsible for processing emotions like fear and stress. When you perceive something as a threat, the amygdala sends action potentials to the hypothalamus, signaling that it's time to activate the fight-or-flight response. This triggers a cascade of events through your autonomic nervous system. Let's break that down. Once the action potentials reach the hypothalamus, it activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight-or-flight response. Your heart starts racing, your breathing gets shallow, and your muscles tense. This happens because action potentials in your spinal cord are stimulating neurons that control your vital organs. Your adrenal glands then get the signal to release adrenaline and norepinephrine, flooding your bloodstream with energy and heightening your senses, preparing you to either confront the danger or escape it. Beyond the immediate fight-or-flight response, action potentials also activate the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This is the body's long-term stress response system. Here's how it works. The hypothalamus sends action potentials to the pituitary gland, which releases ACTH. This hormone travels to your adrenal glands and signals the release of cortisol. This is the body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol helps your body maintain high alertness, increase blood sugar, and suppress non-essential functions like digestion or the immune system. Sounds like a great survival mechanism, right? It is, until stress becomes chronic. Over time, repeated action potentials in the amygdala can make you more sensitive to stress, amplifying anxiety and fear responses. Meanwhile, stress can weaken the firing of action potentials in the hippocampus, an area crucial for memory and learning. This is why chronic stress can impair your ability to concentrate or recall information. And stress doesn't stop there. The prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate emotions and decision-making, also suffers. The longer stress persists, the more its neurons struggle to fire action potentials, weakening your ability to make clear-headed decisions or control your impulses. Stress not only affects your brain's internal wiring, but also drives your behavior. Those moments of stress-induced fidgeting, pacing, or even turning to comfort food are controlled by action potentials. Neurons in the nucleus accumbens, which is part of the brain's reward system, release dopamine when you engage in these behaviors, reinforcing them and creating a cycle of stress and temporary relief. So what can we take away from all of this? Action potentials are the electrical language of your brain, playing a pivotal role in how you respond to stress. From the initial reaction in your amygdala to long-term effects on your hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, these tiny signals shape both your physical and mental responses. Understanding how stress impacts your brain can help you take control. Whether it's through mindfulness, exercise, or simply learning how to recognize stressors, you can actually rewire your brain and help regulate these action potentials. The brain is remarkably plastic, and with the right approach, you can keep stress from taking over. If you found this deep dive into the science of stress helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.